Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to, this is number 2 of the pipes training. So inviting. So inviting is really important. It's one of the most important steps, and people who can really nail the inviting, their business will fly. So we, last week we went over preparing. So it's the P for pipes. This week's inviting. So if you haven't watched the P for preparing, definitely go back and check that out. So this week inviting will be a little bit, a little bit quicker, and time for some questions at the end. Okay, so inviting people, we're talking about inviting people to a class, to a one-on-one, to an online event, to get their oils, not so much as a business opportunity. So doTERRA is a product-led company. The product drives the business, and we know that once people fall in love with the product, then the business opportunity will become evident to them, and that is such an awesome business model because of that, because people get to fall in love with the product. And it's not that icky sort of network marketing business opportunity that's being sold. So the only bad invite is the one that you don't do. And I heard this when I was doing a bit of research on making some notes on this today. And just keep that in mind, because no one is perfect. And what we're saying in this presentation is just what I have learned, what we have learned along the way. And definitely don't be too hard on yourself, because no one is perfect. We continue to refine and change the way we do things. So what we have here is just points of view, and you can take what you love, leave the rest, or refine it and change things to suit you, to suit what works for you and your demographic of people. But remember that the only bad invite is the one that you don't do. So as you refine, as you get better at inviting, your success rate will go up, which is perfect, because once your warm market runs out, so when people first start, they have their warm market, they have their friends, their family, their work colleagues, acquaintances to invite to come along to their workshop. So once that dries up, that warm market dries up, you will have had that practice in inviting, and you'll be able to refine it. It's kind of perfect the way that evolves. So Jackie Ritz, her pipes series is really good. So if you want to check her out, she's on YouTube. But she says that 50% of the success comes from doing the action steps. Doesn't mean you have to be whiz bang. Doesn't mean you have to have a big network. To be successful at this business, 50% is just purely doing the action steps, doing the work. 25% is about being consistent, and the other 25% is about your mindset. So tonight's going to be all about the 75%. So action steps and being consistent, and mindset. We will continue to deal with that all the way along. Do you have anything else to add? No. So the number one thing I will say when you're inviting, and to really master your inviting, is that you have to be using the products. So you have to have your success stories. You have to smell like your business. You have to be using the products. You have to be wearing beautiful natural perfumes or Whisper, and you have to be comfortable with using your products when you're out and about. So if you're going to yoga, having that ice blue there. If you're at the gym, if you're at work, with a friend at the park, someone gets a green ant bite, you want to have that lavender there and be comfortable using it out and about. As you would any other product, it just so happens that if you're doing the business side, some people withdraw back and will secretly use it because they don't want to be judged. But you really, to benefit your business, you need to be comfortable with using oils around people, using the products around people and wearing them. And people are interested. People will be intrigued and they will want to know more. They will. So it will be so much easier for you long term. And like we said last week, having your samples ready. So have samples, like there's a couple of schools of thought. You can have samples made up and samples ready. And there's whole like online shops full of beautiful cases and stuff to hold your sample vials. Or you can have your empty sample vials and your oils ready so that you can be chatting to someone while you're filling up your sample vial. Either of those ways work. One thing I will say is go for the 1 ml sample vials, so quarter dram sample vials, or even better, the 1 or 2 ml roller sample vials. The roller one's so much better. So that way you can have your oil diluted. You're not giving away too much oil. You're not overwhelming people with how to dilute. Like I used to say, you've got some coconut oil or some olive oil in the pantry, just use 2 drops of that. And then people will automatically be worried. They'll be thinking they're not going to do it right. They'll be thinking, what the hell is she talking about using olive oil? This is so weird. They'll chuck those sample vials in the bottom of their handbag and they'll probably not get opened or not get used. Or they'll have trouble getting the oil out of the sample vial. So you have to turn them upside down and tap them on their bottom if they've got a reducer in them, which they should, stop to encourage the oil to come out. And then they come out in micro drops. So the recipes online won't tie into the number of drops that they're getting in their hand. They might look up online to put 4 drops in their diffuser. So they'll put 4 little micro drops and then they won't get an effect. They won't get a scent. So when you're sampling, always better to give them a sample that they can put on topically onto their skin. And I like the rollers simply because you can be walking away from them and they can be rolling them on. They don't have to worry about dilution and you're giving away less oil. So if that sample doesn't get used, which it's more likely to get used because it's a roll-on, but if it doesn't get used, then you're not giving away 15 drops of precious oil. You're only probably putting 5 drops and diluting it with fractionated coconut oil. So the rollers, if you can get the 1 ml vials, the 2 ml vials, or even the 5 ml vials, really, really good for make and take workshops, but also for sampling people. So quite often I'll be giving away 5 ml roller vials. Roller bottles. They're not vials. They're 5 ml, so they're half a 10 ml. And you can make up, obviously. You can make up a roller to suit someone's needs. So if someone is sick or someone has sinus or a teething baby, they walk away with a 5 ml roller, they're going to use that straight away. So, be using your products, wear Passion, wear Whisper, wear natural, whatever, blend of perfume you love, and have the sample of what you're wearing. So have some Whisper with you, have some Passion with you, because you will get comments. And then how nice is it to be able to give that waitress at the cafe a little sample? She'll be thrilled, and then you have got someone to invite. So whether you have samples made up or empty sample bottles and oils, just whatever suits you. But I found the most common things that I sample is the Ice Blue Rub, the On Guard Easy Air Lavender, probably Balance is really good, Digestin, and never give someone a sample without, because we're talking about inviting here. So it's about giving someone their magical moment, their experience with oils, to get them to then feed into your workshops or your one-on-ones. So people are more likely to turn up, so much more likely to turn up if they have had an experience with essential oils.
They want to have an experience sort of straight away as well. You don't want to give them an oil that's going to take 3 weeks to work, because they're going to wipe it on a couple of times. Nothing's going to happen. And they'll think, it's just snake oil again. But yeah, if you can give them the Ice Blue Rub, they can put that on. They can feel it getting hot and cold straight away. It'll give them instant relief. Bang. They've had a great experience first up.
And
similarly with
same with Digestin.
Digestin or Easy Air. If they're, a bit stuffed up, give them some Easy Air to sniff. Bang, instant result.
And I was thinking about it. I haven't done this, but I think the nasal inhalers, which are really cheap, are quite possibly a good option for the Easy Air, the allergies, those stress, anxieties sort of people. They might be a good easy thing. They're really light to have. Just a couple in there. You could give someone an inhaler. But probably first aim for topical use first, because that's going to give them the biggest bang for their buck. You don't want to be sampling someone to put oils in their diffuser, really, if you can avoid it. It's topicals where it's at. And then always ask for permission to follow up with them in 3 days. So put it in your diary, walk away, putting it in your phone. And when you're putting in your phone, also have a note like your notes section, your notes app open, and be writing in there. The lady with the red hair that I met at the library, the one that had the feral kids, whatever you want to write about her, but write what you gave her, because you will forget. If you're sampling a lot of people, you will forget. So write what you gave her and then put a note in your diary to follow up with her. Take her contact details, but try, if you can, instantly, if you've struck up a rapport with her, just play it by ear, but try to connect with them on Facebook. But at the very least, take their phone number.
Don't rely on them ringing you back. If you
They
say,
won't.
oh, give me a ring in 3 days' time, chances are they probably won't ring you back. But if you agree with them to call them back in 3 days' time, it's not icky and horrible. You've agreed it with them. They'll be happy for you to make the call because they've agreed it. And then
and don't forget. And because if someone's expecting you to ring back, it's actually rude if you don't. So put it in your phone, put it as an action on your diary, and you will give them a call. It's only going to take a second. So if someone has and when you follow up, if someone has a positive reaction to a sample, so not a reaction, but a positive effect, they've had a magical moment, they love it, then that's a very big sign for you to invite them to a class or a one-on-one. And you should always have 2 classes in your calendar. So some people like to have them same time every week. You know, we used to do them Thursday night at home. You know, now I just tend to change the date. So we've got one tomorrow night, but then we've got one on a Tuesday night. So you just need to just see what works for you. But I found when I had it every week, like clockwork, people wouldn't be as they would just think, oh, I'll just go the next one. I'll go the next one because you have it every week. So that's why I've chopped and changed it a bit. So, but always have 2 classes in your calendar, because if someone's had a positive result, you want to be able to feed them into a class or a workshop or a one-on-one. So if they're really busy people, if they've got kids, if they're hard to nail down to get to a workshop, then just have a one-on-one and you go to them. So don't try and expect that they come to you, because that's just as hard as getting them to a workshop. You go to them or you meet them at their local coffee shop. So try not to put them out. Try to be the one that goes out of their way to help that person. Okay, so if they had a negative or no result, so you rang them up, you followed up and they said, nah, didn't feel anything, nah, didn't work, then just invite them to try a different sample. Be patient. Don't, and, you know, I say this and I can think of, you know, some times where I haven't done this, you know, I haven't known how to handle it. So I would say, yep, this is a work in progress, but definitely if someone had a negative or no result, then invite them to try a different sample. Be patient, be invested in them. They'll feel that. Find, if they're into sciencey stuff or they're health professional, find an article that is relevant. Tag them. If you're friends with them on Facebook, you want to tag them in good recipes, in testimonials, so that you can build that belief in the product, so that you can then invite them to a workshop. So don't be put off if they, you know, essential oils are like anything. Not everything works for everyone. So some people will find lavender is amazing and other people will say, nah, didn't work. So when you follow up.
And this might be their first contact with essential oils as well. So, you know, not everyone's going to buy a product based on their first contact. They're going to have that first contact, want to go home, do some research, maybe try it again, try something different. You know, it might take 3, 4, 5, 6 contacts and uses before you
even get them to a workshop.
That's what they want.
So it's not about making that sale. It's about building that relationship, getting them to the workshop. We know that they are so much more likely to want to get oils if they have had a positive experience. So always have 2 classes on your calendar. Always have your samples there. Be using your product and just realize that this is a business of relationships. So we build relationships with people, and once your warm market has their oils and you know, if someone in your warm market, so when you start out and you've got your warm market, if someone says no, not interested, that does not mean no, never. That usually just means not now. I'm not ready right now, because we have seen this so many times. People are not ready. We count them out, and then 6 months later, they're the ones saying, in our warm market, saying, oh, do you have something for this? Do you have something for that? So no doesn't mean no. No just means not now. Not ready at the moment. Not right now. And if I think back to myself, I had a lot of those I'm not ready right now sort of situations happening with my own getting oils. So realize that when people say no, don't take it to heart, don't take it personally, just means not now. And as long as they know that you're there, they can come to you, then that's a good thing. And if they're in your warm market. So when you're talking about you're moving out of your warm market, it's about building those relationships. So start with, if you've got kids, you want to be talking to people, networking with people at the school, at soccer, at the doctor's surgery, at work. And a lot of people will go to meetup events, small business, chamber of commerce meetings, women in business meetings, and just build their network. Maybe it's about going to a different yoga studio every month just to build connections with people, and realize that it's the power of one person. So I like to always remind myself this, because it's in this business, it's very easy to get tied up in numbers, thinking I have to get more enrollments, the incentive trip's on, I have to get more enrollments. But really, it's the power of one. If you have someone that you're networking with and you're not even talking oils with them, you're just working with them, you're getting to know them, getting to know their family, and they end up loving oils and enrolling with you, and you nurture them, look after them, they could turn into the world's biggest business builder, be a presidential diamond, and completely change your business. So it really is the power of one. It's not about enrolling the most number of people, it's about looking after the people. And there is a presidential diamond in Australia. I'm sure there's many presidential diamonds, but in Australia, I know of one presidential diamond that has only ever personally enrolled 60 people. So how good is that, to think that you don't actually have to enroll hundreds and hundreds of people, that you just need to look after your people and nurture them through that using the oils. So look at, I used to hate listening to people saying, oh, you should just network and just get out of your comfort zone and all of that sort of stuff. But it's so true. Like, all it could take is you doing, something slightly different, like going to a PNC meeting, or talking to the practice manager at the local GP practice, or just building relationships and being comfortable with that. And don't go and vomit doTERRA all over everyone. So if you're standing next to a new mum at soccer, you're not going to go and bleh doTERRA all over them. It's about building relationships. So Elise Sedavi has a really good video on this, and I'll try and find it and link it below. But it is about that, about people only remember how you made them feel. So people only care about how much you care about them, and then they'll buy from you. And she has this acronym, and I'm pretty sure I've got it right here. It's FORM, and someone might be able to correct me. So you start asking them questions, and you get to know people, and you be the one asking questions, and they will eventually then ask you questions. But you start with asking them questions about their family. How many kids do you have?
Form.
Where do you live?
FORM is the acronym for
FORM? Is that it? Yeah. So family is F. O is occupation. What do you do for a living? Where do you work? Oh, wow, that's awesome. I work at the hospital too. What do you do for recreation? You're not going to say, what do you do for recreation? But you might say, oh, we just went camping on the weekend, and what did you get up to for the school holidays, or whatever. And then just get to know that person. Is that M for motivation, money?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what M is, but I think it's like, what is your message, your motivation? What do you talk about money, whatever it might be. But basically the gist is you're asking someone questions, and it's not about doTERRA. But they will eventually get to know you, get to feel that how much you care about them, and they will have this relationship with you that then if they have a health concern or a need, that you're going to be there being able to give them a sample. So get to know people, become a great communicator.
And it can be as simple as, like, Jess was in the shop 6 months ago and walked in there, and the lady said, oh, how are you going? You having a nice day or something or other? And said, yeah. And she said, oh, what have you been doing today? And just came out and said, oh, I've just run an essential oils workshop. And this lady instantly went, oh, tell me more about that. And, they got talking at the counter, and I'm sitting in the car wondering where they are. And all of a sudden she's coming back to the car, she's getting samples, and yeah, it just goes from there. So don't be afraid if people ask you what you've been doing or what are you up to, or what do you do this week. You can drop in, oh, I'm running my essential oils business, or I'm running a workshop or whatever. Just throw it in the conversation. Nothing has to become of it, but if it does, great.
And I used to always keep that under wraps. I used to just say, I'm the sort of person, when the shop attendant says, how are you going? I just say, good. What have you been up to? Not much. That's me, because I just want to shut them down. I don't love small talk. But now I've had to become a little bit more open to that. And so when they say, what have you been doing today? I'll actually tell them. And a lot of the time, that was during Diamond Club, and I was doing lots of workshops. I'd be like, I'm just down the road. I've just come from that cafe across the road doing a workshop. And they'll be like, oh. And then another time I was in another shop. It's called Diamond Club because you get to check out all the shops in the area while your husband sits in the car with the kids. No, I was looking for a present, I think. And I ran into this shop, and I was just chatting to this woman, and she was so bored. She was a shop attendant, so bored out of her brain, hadn't seen many people that day. And she was just like, sorry? Oop. She was probably doing the form on me. So she was asking me lots of questions, and then something about hand sanitizer came up, and I said, don't use that stuff. It is rubbish. You can just make your own so easily. And she's like, oh, how do you do that? My husband uses it all the time. He's such a germphobe. And I was like, it's so easy. I'm going to go and make you one. And so I went to the back of the car, got the stuff out, brought the aloe vera and the On Guard and a little bit of water. No, she got a water out of her kettle, and I bought a container, and we made a hand sanitizer together with that lady, and she loved it. And then I was able to follow up with her and invite her. She never ended up turning up, mind you, but invite her to a workshop the very next week and follow up with her. I'm not saying it works all the time, but it does work a lot of the time. So definitely have your oils, be open to talking about them, and use language that's passionate and not just like very reserved. So when you're asking someone to come to a workshop, you can say, I really think you would love this workshop. We're going to do some amazing things. These oils have absolutely changed my family's life. I think you need to hear this stuff. So be really passionate about it. And one thing I did skip over, which we do need to talk about, is when you are giving someone a sample, they have a positive result, then you invite them to a workshop. When you invite someone to a workshop, it's always best to use the language. They say, are you open to natural forms of healthcare? Are you open to coming to a workshop to learn more about these oils? So if you use the word open, people are not going to say, no, I'm closed. They're going to say, they're more likely to say yes. And then it's up to you to then follow up with them. They'll say yes to coming to they are open, and then it's up to you to say, okay, this is the workshop. Does this time suit you? No, it doesn't. So you've got the second workshop to give them as an option. And then 3 days out, then you are connecting with them again to tell them, can't wait to see you at the next, on Thursday night, we're going to make some awesome stuff. And you're reminding them, do you mind if I text you again to remind you? Because everyone's life's so busy on the Thursday morning, and, 4 to 6 hours out from the workshop, you want to be messaging them again or phoning them again and saying, just want to make sure where you're going, and it's at Kira Hill Community Centre. So if you park in such and such a car park, you'll see my sign, and can't wait to see you. And just use really passionate language, really positive language. This is something I've had to work out, because I would be very like, oh yeah, I've got a workshop on Tuesday, and it would be so ho-hum that people wouldn't want to come. But when you change that up to say, you have got to see this, it's not some icky sales thing. It's not selling a business opportunity. We're just going to be making some soaps and hand sanitizers. You've got to see this. So awesome.
If you sound bored with your own workshops, no one's going to turn up. Like Jess said, you've got to make it sound like you're really passionate about it, and they want to get passionate about it as well.
Yeah. So when it comes to inviting, it's not hard. It's about being prepared. It is, sorry, I'm just going to check. Someone's got there. Okay, got it. So it's not hard. It is about being prepared. So you definitely need to watch last week's video because that was a whopper of a video with lots and lots of content in it. You have to be prepared. You have to have your samples. If you don't have your samples, if you don't have your classes on the calendar, it will be really hard to invite people. So take that out of the situation, out of the equation. Have your samples ready. Have your system ready. And hang on, we're just muting that one. Now here. It's there. Have your samples and have your classes booked. And everything is so much easier when it comes to inviting. And you will master this technique. You will become the master of inviting. And if you are elite, premier, you've already mastered it. You just need to refine it now. So, and it will change as different things change. You know, I went through a phase of not sampling anyone. Then I was sampling too much, and you just have to find what works for you. Now the rollers, I think, are the go. Who knows what will change in the next 6 months?
Just try different things. Some things will work, some things won't. And some of the most random things will work really well that you wouldn't think would work.
And that includes a drop in the hand of easy air on breathing it in. That is something so effective. You can do the same with On Guard, peppermint, even balance. And that is enough of a positive reaction to get someone to a workshop there before your very eyes. You don't even have to follow up with them because they're like, right, I want to know more. So yeah, what have we forgotten, Dazza? Always get the details. Keep really good records, so a spreadsheet, notes in your phone, and connect with them on Facebook. So I'm going to throw to Karma because you had some really cool ideas.
Hi. So, yeah, so with inviting, it's really important, I think, to tap into notice boards and things like that. So there's lots of these that are free and don't cost anything, so you don't need to pay for sponsored ads and things like that on Facebook to attract new people. Things like your local library or community centres. I know here our link is great, which is the local library at putting notices up on their notice board for me, and that's where I hold a lot of my workshops, in a room there. Also, most little towns have a community notice board that are free to advertise. It's normally out, I know here in Tassie, they're normally at the front of a supermarket, like a small IGA or something like that. So that's where everybody needs to get bread and milk in their life. So ask your local IGA or supermarket if you can put it. Polls, where you come out of supermarkets and stuff, visual in people's face. Get a cool, catchy graphic, get some copies, run off, as people are walking back down the street, they're seeing after signpost, not signpost, what am I saying, telegraph pole thing. They're seeing these constantly, eventually they're going to go, oh, what is that flyer, that I keep seeing? And using your brand. So when people see graphics, they should be able to totally think, oh, that's that workshop that I missed last month. So if you're advertising again, try and always use the same font and graphics and things like that are eye-catching, that sends those buzzers off in their mind. Like Jess said, invite people that you run into in a cafe. Just invite. So, there's so many places, your local buy, swap and sell pages, put it there. If someone takes it down, well, they take it down, but leave it there if you can, because, people might be just scrolling, doing some time. They're all free and they don't cost anything. So, yeah, have business cards in your wallet, hand them out. When you go into the coffee shop, ask people if you can put some business cards there. Put the dates for that month, on the back of your business cards that you're going to have your workshops. And then or get some blank business cards, blank backs of black business cards with blank backs, and write your workshop dates, put them on their counter or wherever if they've got a pin board that you can pin them on, and then go in the next month and change them over for your next month's workshops with the dates. There's so much that you can do to invite people, and like Jess said, it mightn't happen the first time, but it damn well does happen that they end eventually, something clicks and they think, I am going to go to that workshop that girl told me about that day, and I'm going to find out how. Filter them into your Facebook groups so that they see your events pop up. It doesn't take much to say, oh, get your phone out, if you're interested. Join my group, and I always have my workshops listed there. So, yeah, they're my inviting tips.
I agree, Karma. That's good stuff. And what I'd say to that is look at your target market as well. So if you're targeting young mums and babies, work out where they're going, where they're advertising, what places they're going to, and advertise in those places. We went to a Whole Foods cafe somewhere, and there was a whole heap of brochures up outside the cafe about yoga, about spirited kids, about all this stuff, and we just went back and took a photo of it and went, all that information there is gold. Put our brochure up there as well, because those sort of people are the people that are going to be interested in this sort of stuff. Yeah. So it's working out where your target market is and advertising there. No good advertising in the business pages of the Sydney Morning Herald, because no one's going to read it, or if they do read it, no one's really going to be in your target market there.
And just remember, it's not about getting people to your workshop. It really is the power of one. And with social media, just be really careful about spending money on boosted ads or boosting posts. It's really not fruitful. It rarely pays off, and you waste a lot of money, and you don't get quality people coming to your events. So it's really hard to get people straight from social media that are just organic, people that you've never met before coming to your events. You're much better off, looking at your target audience, thinking outside the box. So am I doing it in a cafe? Can I put some flyers up there before, like Karma said, or business cards? Can I chat to the cafe owners? Can I give them some wild orange and peppermint to put in their raw cooking, which will then they'll know that you're coming in on Thursday, and they'll start to tell their clients, and just start thinking outside of the box. The time is now. People are starting to know what doTERRA is, even though I think it's about 2% of people in Australia have a doTERRA wholesale account, but the brand awareness is out there a little bit more. So it's just going to continue to snowball. One thing, can I just say one thing about social media? If you are sharing other people's posts to your page, to your group, don't ever cut them out of it. So don't take their graphic and Photoshop or cut or crop their logo out of it, because doTERRA, the culture is so strong. You never want to do that. You never want to do that, because you just want to honor people. You don't need to be the know-it-all when it comes to oils, the guru of oils. You just want to honor that person has a really cool idea or has a really cool graphic that I want to share with my audience. You also don't want to have a Facebook page that you're just sharing everyone else's graphics. You want to be the majority of the content going out on your Facebook page is your content, but then interesting stuff from areas that you're not so au fait with is a good thing to share, and always give that person credit. Sorry, over to you, Karma.
I was just going to say, with the inviting and leaving things, think of things too, like where people have waiting rooms where they have to wait. So the hairdresser, if you've got some cards or a couple of flyers, or like the trifold, I know Kylie does an awesome trifold that she's shared with me. If you can, dentists, doctors' surgeries, beauty salons, it doesn't necessarily have to be yoga places or these, because people that are going to have the spark and go with this, they're not always necessarily the health food or the healthy gurus. They're just everyday normal people that, you know, the penny just drops and they think, oh, that's really interesting. I wouldn't mind looking into that further. So anywhere there's a waiting room where people have time to kill, even like your food, like your Chinese cafe or whatever, where people are waiting to pick up their takeaway orders, pop some flyers in there if they'll let you, because people have got to wait. They'll look at the magazines and stuff like that. So hopefully they might read them.
Awesome. I think have we covered it all? Inviting is an art, but it's not something that you should be scared of, and you definitely do want to put the time and effort into being prepared and make it easy for yourself. There's no point in having these amazing workshops with amazing graphics and no one turns up.
There'll always be someone to invite to something, someone that you haven't contacted for a while. You know, last week, one of the guys at work was talking about oils, and he said, oh, my wife's got oils everywhere. I started talking to him. He said, oh, no, she doesn't have a doTERRA account. She just buys them from the shop down the road. Invited her to Spoil Yourself. She loves Spoil Yourself. Then she enrolled. So, you know, this was a guy that I'd known for 3 or 4 years and hadn't said anything to him about it before. And, you know, people just come from random places sometimes.
Yeah. And, yeah, Karma is so right. It's not just the hippy-dippy people that are needing oils. Everyone needs oils. And, yeah. So did anyone else have anything else to add? Any hot tips on inviting? Unmute yourself.
Anyone that's had any success doing something a bit random lately, let us know.
Kylie?
Yeah, I was just going to say my main tip would be to stay away from calling them parties.
Yeah.
It really does get us into the whole Tupperware, I'm obliged to buy something, I'm not going to learn anything. And I've been seeing it a lot. A lot of people are calling them parties. And I think that's where the obligation that my friend's going to invite me to a party and I'm going to have to buy something and I don't want to go. So for me, I've just really been honest, and this is all about education and getting your hands on these oils rather than this is a party. It's one of my bugbears at the moment. Yes.
Yeah. So a class or a workshop or a gathering, anything other than a party.
And don't give up on people, because I've got people that I sampled via events 12 months ago, and then every now and again I'll just go back through my messenger and just re-contact them and not give up on them. And occasionally you get one 12 months later and they'll enroll.
Yep.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions? I'll stop recording. Hang on.